The third point that I want to talk about is how money plays a part with your happiness, because there are so many misconceptions here on how money plays a part in your life. Because some people say that money can't make you happy. Other people say that money will make you happy. But the reality is it's somewhere in the middle, and you have to understand this, that way you can understand how money plays a part in your life. So I like to diagram this through a triangle. I call this my Quadrupid Theory, because if you want to live a fulfilled life, you have to understand how money plays a part in your life. Because while money itself isn't going to make you happy, if you don't have money, it can make you very, very, very miserable. So at the bottom of this quadruped triangle, I have physical fitness. If you want to live a healthy and happy life, you have to be fit in these four areas. And at the bottom is physical fitness, which means you have to be physically fit. Now, this doesn't mean you got to have a six-pack, but what that means is if you're dying on your deathbed because you're morbidly obese, it doesn't matter how much money you have, the only thing you're going to care about is being healthy again. So you want to make sure that you're physically healthy, that way you can at least live your life. After that, you want to be mentally fit. If you are anxious, you're struggling with anxiety, you're struggling with depression, you're not happy, you're not surrounded by people that love you, you have a bunch of toxic people in your life, it doesn't matter how much money you have. I could give you $10 million today. That more money is just going to make you more miserable, because now you're going to realize how crappy of a life you have. If you are struggling with anxiety, you're struggling with depression, you're struggling with these things, you can't find this happiness, where you should be investing your money right now is in a therapist. Go into rehab, go find some sort of therapy, even if it's some sort of alternative therapy. Go find out how you can heal your mental health, because if you don't have this healthy mental health, you're not going to be able to go out and work and do things for financial success. You're not going to want to. You're not going to see the purpose. And even if you do, because you think, oh, if I have more money, I'll start to be happy, people will like me, I'll have friends, I'll be surrounded by happy people, I'll get these toxic people away. You're just going to be more miserable, because then you're going to realize that money wasn't the solution. So you have to take care of your mental health. And then you got to take care of your spiritual health. Now, this doesn't have to mean religion. When I talk about spiritual health, I'm talking about your purpose. Why are you on this earth? What are you waking up every single day to do? And this is something you want to start thinking about sooner rather than later, because, that's why the saying is those who retire early die early. Because when you work at a job for 40, 45 years and that's all you do, and you hate your job and you sit there, you just work there, that way you can one day hopefully retire, and then you hit that retirement point, well, then what happens? You sit at home on your sofa with nothing to do, and then you start getting sick. You start to go into a whole bunch of holes physically, mentally, because you don't have a purpose. You don't have a reason to wake up every single day except to cry and yell at whoever's on TV. And this is where you want to start figuring out your purpose sooner rather than later. What are you here for? What is your purpose on this earth? How can you help people? That way you can start working for your purpose sooner, because if you have millions of dollars, but you have no reason to get out of bed, you're going to be more miserable. This is where being financially fit has the biggest benefit and the most power. Because now when you have financial health, financial fitness, you're wealthy, you understand money, now you can live a more happy and a more fulfilled life, because now more money is just the icing on the cake. It will help you live a more fulfilled life. It will let you live the more happy life. It will let you do the things that you want to do. It'll help you take care of yourself. It'll help you take care of your family. It'll help you take care of your community. Now, what you have to understand here is that more money here is not going to change your spiritual health or your mental health or your physical health. Sure, it can buy you better doctors, but by itself, it's not going to make you healthier. This is where you have to understand how money plays a part in your life, because without money, you're going to be very suffering here. And that can trickle down here as well into all the other aspects. But if you do have money, you have to understand it's just going to help you here. The fourth point that I want to talk about has to do with this concept of thinking bigger, but not in the traditional way, because most of us have limiting beliefs based off of what we're told around us and what our environment is. I know for me as well, I was told many times that I could never make it as an entrepreneur, that somebody who looks like me, who talks like me, who has a turban, who has a beard will never be able to make it on YouTube talking about things like finance. And when you hear these type of things, it can start to affect you, and you start to believe, oh, maybe you're right. Maybe because I was grown up in a certain way, maybe because of who my parents are, maybe because of the color of my skin, I can't achieve something. Growing up, I was always told to become a doctor. I've talked about this many times, but I grew up in this traditional Indian house. And when you come from this type of culture, your parents want you to become successful. And in my house, that meant I had to become a doctor. I had no other options. And when I told my parents that I didn't want to be a doctor, they didn't believe it. It took my dad a long time to believe that I wasn't going to be a doctor. It took my mom a year and a half to actually believe that her son wasn't going to be a doctor. It was a very, very, very tough time. And I remember going through arguments with my parents and my family because I would get calls from random family members saying, Jaspreet, you're disgracing the family. Why aren't you doing something good in your life? Why do you want to go do this entrepreneurship thing? Do something that will bring pride to the family. Do something that will make you successful. Do something that will help you take care of your family. And when you hear these things again and again and again, you tell yourself, no, don't believe it. That's not true. But there's still that little voice in your brain. What if you're right? And I remember, talking to my parents, I want to be an entrepreneur. What if one day I could be a CEO of a company? And I remember hearing again and again, you can't be a CEO. You have no business experience. How can somebody like you be the CEO? How can you run a company? Now, the goal isn't just to be a CEO after I learned about the corporate ladder. You want to learn to own the company. But these were the types of things that I learned. And I always thought crazy. I always wanted to do big things. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. But it makes it very difficult. And this is where you have to remember that it is possible. Because, a lot of us don't have this type of support system that's going to say, hey man, or hey woman, hey girl, whatever. You got this. Just stick with it. Just fight through it. You'll get it. Just keep working. And that's one of those things where, all I can say is think bigger, because I always thought that I thought big. But then even when I started this YouTube channel, I remember joking around with my friends saying, if Minority Mindset ever gets 100,000 subscribers, I made it. That's it. And if we hit 1 million subscribers, I would just shut down the channel because I never thought it was possible. And here we are today. We have passed 1 million subscribers. And this is me, somebody who thought I thought big, and yet I was putting these limiting beliefs on myself. The first step to achieving any sort of success is having a bigger mindset. You have to understand and believe it's possible for you. Because if you don't, if we just keep hating on others, if you keep telling yourself you can't do it, if you keep coming up with excuses, you will never be able to achieve that success. So the first thing you have to do is believe that you can do it. Because once you believe that you can do it, no matter where you come from, no matter who your parents are, no matter where you grew up, no matter how you look, no matter how you talk, no matter what, once you believe you can do it, then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start learning. Now, this is a lot more accessible today because of YouTube. So now you can start learning. You can start watching videos, and you're going to start reading books. And then you're going to start taking some classes online. You're going to find some classes that you like, and you're going to start learning things. Some of them will be no good. Some of them will be very beneficial. And then you're going to start doing. And then once you start doing, you're going to go through a bunch of phases. You're going to go through failure after failure, but you're going to keep learning. And if you keep sticking with it, this is why it's so hard, because you have to go through all these phases, and then you have to keep sticking with it. And you have to do it again and again. And then eventually, you're going to find something that you like, that makes sense. And then now you're going to put all these past failures together, and then you're going to build this, and then you're going to start to see that success that for the last decade you've been working to build. But you didn't really see that last decade worth of work, because now you're just starting something where you're putting everything that you learned together. But it all starts with that mindset and being willing to think different. Minority Mindset wasn't my first gig that I did. I went through side hustle after business, after investment. And then I started Minority Mindset as a hobby because I was working on a different business. I was working on my real estate investments. This was something that I was just doing because I wish somebody would have told me this stuff when I was growing up. And I was full focused on building another company, and then Minority Mindset slowly started to grow, and then I had to make a decision. What do I do? Do I work in Minority Mindset, which is not making me any money, or do I continue working on my business, which is making me money? Well, I liked the business, but I loved Minority Mindset, so then I went through with Minority Mindset, and it continued to grow, and it helped grow and start other businesses like Market Insiders and Market Briefs, which I talk about. But it all started with that mindset. And if there's one thing that will determine if you will become successful or not, I would attribute it to your mindset. Because if you have the right mindset and you have the right work ethic, nothing will stop you. But if you don't have the right mindset, it's the shaky foundation. There's no way that you can build up any higher because your mindset is stopping you from going anywhere. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. These are things that you can start doing even if you don't have a lot of money. So if you want to read this free guide on how to start generating passive income for free, all you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.